Break the wheel. Make it stop.
Hello again, gentle viewers, and welcome once again to The Broken Wheel. This episode will be the first of a series of videos I've been wanting to do for a while. I will be going into the villains of the Wheel of Time series, starting with the Dark One's minions, the Shadowspawn. No real spoiler warnings for this video, though I will be talking about Shadowspawn that have not appeared in the TV series as of the making of this video. If you're new to the channel, please consider leaving a like or a comment below. But with all that said, let our journey begin again. Most Shadowspawn can trace their origins to the beginning of the War of Power, 3,000 years prior to the beginning of the series. They were created by the Forsaken Agenor, who was a biologist before being corrupted by the Dark One. Others would later be created afterward, but very few. All Shadowspawn were created using a combination of the One Power and the Dark One's power, known as the True Power, to its servants. As such, they all share the Dark One's corruptive touch and evil purpose. However, this taint makes them detectable by Aes Sedai and their warders. The most numerous and well-known type of Shadowspawn are the Trollocs. The Dark One wanted an army of soldiers that would be stronger than humans as well as inherently evil. Agenor had been conducting genetic experiments before he turned to the Shadow, earning him censure from the Hall of Servants. He then developed a means to combine animal and human genetic material to make creatures that would be larger and stronger than humans. The result was an amalgamation of human and beast that would become the first Trollocs. The average Trolloc male stands between 8 and 10 feet tall, not counting horns if they have them. Female Trollocs are shorter, though rarely seen outside of the Great Blight. They are seen as useful only for breeding, so only males become soldiers. The non-human physical attributes of Trollocs vary wildly from wolf, bovine, reptile, bird, and even goat. Trollocs are innately savage and bloodthirsty with no sense of empathy or mercy. They revel in slaughter and will eat almost any living creature, from livestock to humans, to even each other, though they prefer humans most of all. So much so that the Forsaken created breeding camps for humans during the War of Power to sustain the Trolloc population. Though not very intelligent, they are capable of speech and have their own language. Very few are intelligent enough to speak the new tongue spoken by humans, but even then they can only speak a few words, barely enough to put a sentence together. Unlike other Shadowspawn, Trollocs have developed a social order and are divided into 12 major bands, as well as many more lesser bands, each with its own heraldry except for the Golem, whose symbol is unknown. These bands do not work together unless compelled to by a greater power. The 12 major bands in alphabetical order are Afreit, meaning strong wind, Alcohol, meaning soulless, Banshin, meaning bringers of annihilation, Dahpor, meaning sires of agony, Dheman, meaning scythes of war, Djinnen, meaning those who cause terror, Gargil, meaning brutes of venom, Gohelem, meaning takers of souls, Goblin, meaning harvesters of souls, Gremlan, meaning prized of the mighty, Kobal, meaning circle of one or brotherhood, and Norman, meaning size of devastation. I have no idea if I pronounced those correctly, so bear with me on that. Trollocs have an innate fear of large bodies of water and are hesitant to cross any amount of water that comes higher than their knees. This is most likely due to the fact that their bodies have little buoyancy, therefore making it impossible for them to swim. They also hate/fear wolves and will slaughter any wolves they come across. Robert Jordan was a big fan of the works of Tolkien and used many aspects from the Lord of the Rings trilogy as inspiration. Trollocs were heavily influenced by Tolkien's orcs, with the name Trolloc being derived from a combination of troll and orc. Despite being physically superior to men, Trollocs proved to be ineffective as an army, this due to their lack of discipline and inability to work as a unit. However, this problem would be soon solved with the birth of a new type of Shadowspawn. Every so often, a Trolloc is born where the human traits have significantly resurfaced. These creatures are the Myrddraal, or Fades in the TV series. Their appearance is almost completely human except for being eyeless. Other than that, they all appear to be tall, male humans with jet black hair and pale, waxy skin. The TV series has them with no hair and an enlarged mouth of sharp teeth. Myrddraal have many names throughout the different kingdoms and cultures of the Wheel of Time. The TV show uses the name Fade for it being easier to say, and that it is the common name for Myrddraal in the kingdom of Andor, where much of the first season takes place. In Tyr they are called Lurks, Fetches in Ilion, Night Runners to the Aiel, as well as the Eyeless, Shadowmen, and Halfmen. Though they are smaller in stature than Trollocs, they are far more dangerous. They are very strong and fight with an unnatural speed and grace. Due to their greater intelligence and discipline, they are used as battle captains of Trollocs in battle. These units are called Fists, and can range from 100 but never more than 200 Trollocs. Myrddraal wear black armor and are armed with cursed blades made at the slopes of the Dark One's prison. Even a scratch from one of these black metal weapons will eventually be fatal. It is believed that the birth of a Myrddraal is caused by whatever genetic trait allows humans to channel the One Power, since their birth rate is almost exactly the same as the percentage of the human population that are able to channel. Though they have no eyes, they can see perfectly in light or darkness. The gaze of a Fade will cause paralyzing fear in all but the most strong-willed of people. The blood of a Fade is highly acidic and will eat away steel if not removed. Their nails are hard enough to claw wood, and they have a misty reflection in mirrors. While they can sense both men and women channeling, Fades lack the precision to locate that person a channeler would have. Myrddraal can generate an area of silence around themselves, and, like Trollocs, they are also afraid of running water. A Myrddraal's most cunning ability is being able to disappear into shade or darkness and reappear from other shadows. This ability is not fully understood even by the Forsaken Agnor. Despite years of often fatal testing on the Myrddraal, he could only theorize that they are simply out of phase with reality. Due to this, towns and cities in the borderlands keep streets as bright as possible at night. They will also outlaw anyone wearing a hood after dark, and patrols will immediately stop anyone whose face they cannot see. Fades are notoriously tough to kill, with anyone killing one in single combat receiving the title of Dreadbane in the Borderlands. They can survive many mortal wounds, making beheading the most efficient method of dispatching one. Even then, the body will continue to thrash about wildly. It is only after the setting of the sun will the Myrddraal's remains turn to dust. When leading a fist of Trollocs, a Fade can form a type of link with the Trollocs. This allows him to control the entire fist, giving the unit a cohesion they would not otherwise have. However, should the controlling Myrddraal be killed, all Trollocs linked to him will die as well. I'm not sure why this is noted about Myrddraal, but they have no sense of humor. Though never specifically stated, I can't help but guess that some inspiration for the Myrddraal come from the Nazgul in The Lord of the Rings. Like the Nazgul, Myrddraal are often seen as hooded black riders, dislike large bodies of water, and seem to be able to appear and disappear into darkness at will. These Shadowspawn first appear in the first book, but were not seen in the first season of the TV series. Because of that, I doubt we will see them in the TV series, for they are not prominent in the book series. At a distance, a Drakkar appears human with the obvious exception of their wings, which they can easily conceal under a heavy coat or a cloak. Up close, one can clearly see the Drakkar's unnaturally large black eyes, pale skin, and misshapen mouth with bright ruby lips. They have thin frames and weak bones to aid them in flight. Due to their lack of physical strength, they are not utilized in direct combat or battle. They serve as scouts for Fists of Trollocs under the control of a Murdrail. Drakkar use a series of screeches and wails to communicate with ground forces while in flight. They are also used as assassins, employing their ability to hypnotize. This is done by the Drakkar singing, which traps the victim into a controllable state. The Drakkar will then lure the victim in closer and then appear to kiss the target. However, they are actually sucking the soul out of the victim until the body is an empty husk. Then the Drakkar will drain the life out of the person, finally killing them. There is no known way to heal someone who has been kissed by a Drakkar, even if the process is stopped right away. As long as the Drakkar has siphoned even the smallest part of a person's soul, they will never be whole again. Due to the process by which they strike, they prefer to attack people when they are outdoors. Not much is known about how the Drakkar came to be, only that they were once humans that were changed into Shadowspawn by use of the One Power. The only other thing of note about Drakkar is that Moraine once comments that Drakkar are not very intelligent and have little will of their own. In spite of the name, Grey Men can be women but are mostly male. These Shadowspawn are unique in that they start out as humans. As such, they are undetectable by Aes Sedai and their warders. Grey Men typically start out as Dark Friends who eventually give their soul over to the Dark One. After this is done, they gain an uncanny ability to hide in plain sight. The eye glosses over them like they are just another part of the background. This ability makes Grey Men deadly assassins by being able to easily infiltrate and approach their targets. Even after they have struck, observers are in total disbelief that someone so plain and ordinary looking could be so dangerous. Due to the Grey Men not having souls, they are no longer part of the pattern. This makes them so imperceptible, and also immune to the Aes Sedai talent of foresight. Like Grey Men, Dreadlords can be male or female. These are humans that can channel the One Power who have pledged themselves to the Dark One. The most infamous of these would be the Forsaken from the War of Power. They will require their own video due to the sheer amount of lore and heavy spoilers. While the temptation of power and immortality is enough to lure anyone, men who can channel have the extra incentive of gaining protection from the Dark One's taint of Saidin. Dreadlords often serve as field commanders of the Dark One's army, placing them above Murdrail and Trollocs in the chain of command. These Shadowspawn look like large dogs with a twisted appearance and shiny silver eyes. They are about the size of a small horse, weighing from 250 to 300 pounds. They are used primarily as trackers, for once they have a person's scent, they can track that person over great distances. However, like other Shadowspawn, they dislike running water and can lose a person's scent in heavy rain. Darkhounds leave no tracks on soft ground, but will leave tracks on stone. They leave the scent of sulfur in their wake and are known as Shadow Brothers by wolves. Darkhounds are very difficult to kill, with power-wrought weapons and the One Power being the most efficient methods. The Forbidden Weave of Balefire is the most reliable way to destroy a Darkhound. Their blood and saliva are highly toxic, making a single bite from a Darkhound lethal. They typically run in packs of 10 to 12, but larger packs are not unheard of. A more powerful breed of Darkhounds exists that can only be destroyed by balefire. If the body is not completely destroyed outright, it will regenerate over time. Even if the Darkhound is cut to pieces, the bits will liquefy, come back together, and reform. The Golem are the most rare of Shadowspawn, with only 6 ever being created, 3 in the likeness of a man and 3 in the likeness of a woman. Though they outwardly appear human, their internal physiology is nothing like a human's. Golems are immune to the One power, with any weaves aimed at one dissolving. Because of this, they are feared by even the Forsaken, and this is most likely why so few were ever made. They can sense a channeler within 50 feet and someone channeling over several miles. Golems were used primarily for killing Aes Sedai in the War of Power. Golems have no skeletal structure, allowing them to compress and contort their bodies through even the smallest of openings. They also have no known internal organs, making them immune to most weapons. Any wounds they suffer eventually close up. If you've ever seen Terminator 2, think of the T-1000. To the best of my knowledge, there is no known way to kill a golem. The only way one can die is by old age, but they live for several hundred years. Golems possess superhuman strength and inhuman agility, making them even more deadly in combat than a Murdrail. They feed on fresh blood, often leaving a trail of mutilated corpses in their wake. The blood of channelers are the golem's favorite, for it gives them a sense of euphoria. The only known way to harm a golem is with the use of special medallions that also block the One power from being used on the one possessing it. The medallions will instantly burn any part of the golem it comes in contact with, and are the only things that can make one retreat. I hesitate to call Dark Friends Shadowspawn, since they are not constructs like Trollocs or Murdrail. They are humans that have pledged themselves in some way to the Dark One in hopes of being rewarded for their service. Dark Friends are the eyes and ears of the Dark One and can literally be anyone. Though they have been known to be part of armies of Shadowspawn, they are far more useful as spies and saboteurs. Dark Friends have no special abilities, but can be gifted or modified to serve some purpose, the most well-known being the Grey Men. A good example is the Dark Friend Padden Fane. He was given the ability to track Mat, Perrin, and Rand as part of the Dark One's search for the Dragon Reborn. There are other types of lesser-known Shadowspawn in the Wheel of Time book series, but they are not worth mentioning in this video. They either have a very short appearance or are denizens of the Great Blight, so are rarely seen. If you're interested in learning about these other Shadowspawn, please leave me a comment down below. So I hope you've enjoyed this dive into the Shadowspawn of the Wheel of Time series. If you found it informative, consider hitting the like button or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Thank you very much for watching, and may you walk in the light.